greatest name. Carl Winslow's real name is Reginald L. John.
Huh?
It's a beautiful name. Jay Recher, you need the link? Jay Recher.
Oh. Like, not too many Black Regal.
Great name. I'd rather go by Reginald L. John.
I knew Carl Winslow was very gay. Very gay. No, he's very
Kind of gay or that?
Any gay is pretty gay. Like, hey, that's open. Okay. That's in the open gay. That's screwing dudes.
No,
in the
no,
open.
it isn't. It's definitely not in the open gay because
but-
we just found out.
But this in front of people. Screwing dudes in front of people.
I know. How
Young
long
boys,
did it take for it to come out?
Young boys, but doesn't mean he's just a little bit.
It wasn't out.
If you're a little bit gay,
He wasn't at the Pride
if
parade.
you're a little bit gay, you're not screwing boys.
No. There's a difference between little gay, a lot of gay, open gay. We just found out about these freak off
What
parties.
category are you in?
Huh?
What category are you in?
I'm in the support. Group. Halfway.
You want to open it up? You open up the show.
Are we live? Hey, Recher. We're live. Here we go. Beckles and Recher podcast live. Let me just see if this is
done live.
I don't crack. I mean, I think.
Oh, I know. I would smoke weed.
I don't.
Nobody cares. Wait, no. Tell him. Well, did you tell him? Don't tell people I'm smoking weed.
What do you mean? Don't tell people.
I have
Everybody
a reputation.
knows. I have a reputation to oppose.
If anybody tells you somebody's not smoking, you're upset.
The only person that grandma knows. Huh?
Nana. You told Nana.
You're the only person that calls my grandma Nana. It's so funny. She's been living in the hood for 70 years.
I want to meet Nana so bad.
She's the best. Like, my brother's always talking smack about the men. And then she'll lean over and she'll be like, he'd be like, damn it!
That's true, though. Very, very true. All right? You okay?
All right, what are we waiting on here? Well, I pulled it up and it's not coming up on the. People just. I'm not gonna post. On YouTube? It's up there. That version.
I can ask.
Yes.
Oh, really? High five.
Thanks, David Terry.
Yeah, thanks.
David Terry's there, man.
Oh, David?
Supporter of the Beckles. The Jay Recher. Huh? Yeah. All right, we're here. Oh, we're going back to the Beckles and Recher Facebook page. We got 7,000 followers up in here. What? Yeah, we'll do that then. We have the song ready or no? You gonna play the song? Let's play the song. Welcome back. It's the Beckles and Recher podcast.
Got the little cartoon.
Yeah.
Dash. Hit it.
Found it?
Over here.
Shiver me timbers. Great to see y'all doing a very year live. Yeah, we're working on it. Oops.
Like it's
If you're looking
Movie, yeah. God.
For the pulse of Tampa Bay sports, Beckles and Recher is the #1 source. The new guard, raising up the bar. Intelligent sports talk in your own backyard. Ain't no competition, ask the fans why. Beckles and Recher got it by a landslide. Don't fret, microphone check, stand by. Yo, Fox, where they at? Who my two favorite guys?
Here they go,
Here they go,
here they go,
here they go,
here they go, here they go,
here they go,
here they go,
here they go,
here they go,
here they go,
here they go, here they go.
here they go.
Beckles and Recher. Woo, woo,
Welcome to the Beckles and Recher podcast alongside Ian Beckles. I am Jay Recher. We are back like cook crack. And, that's what we're going to do every Wednesday around 3:30, 3:40, whenever we get around to it.
No
What we're
rush.
gonna do. No
There's
rush.
No rush.
No
We're-
rush in
we're
here.
chilling.
No
plenty to talk
Nikita
about.
Kucherov here. How's it going, buddy?
It's good. Everything is chill here at Dignitary.
Right here.
We don't get our blood pressures high. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got that right, buddy.
The blood pressure is high. Other than Emma, Emma's is high.
Oh, Emma is
Emma, yeah, but other than Emma, everybody else has to stay low.
4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard, 13 Cava House.
Right.
Cava House.
Cover house, yeah.
I like Cava House.
It's it's cafe
I know
works.
it's a cafe, but I like house because it's like everything.
Cover house, smoke shop, lounge. It's a lot of stuff, man.
Chill area.
Yeah.
So obviously we're going to talk a little bit about everything and anything. We're going to talk sports, talk Bucks, but I think some of the best parts of what we did when we were on the air together, kind of just the things on the periphery, laughing, and having fun, and having a good time. We'll start talking a little Bucks to kind of open things up, and then go off on tangents. I
Sure.
think that's the fun part. Of course, we want to hear from you. We are streaming live on YouTube right now, so if you want to contribute to the conversation, like David Terry or Shiver Me Timbers or Jared Brinton, who says, "Great to hear that song again."
Timber Me Timbers is the dude's name.
It says Shiver Me Timbers. Great to see y'all doing a pod together. Song goes hard. Who made the song?
Shad Core, and Eliana from PRC.
The great Eliana Blanchard.
Yeah, no doubt. It is.
Eliana Blanchard. Great news today around 10:30, 10:45. Liam Cohen back as the offensive coordinator of the Buccaneers. You and I were two of the people that were saying, hey, if he goes, he goes. They'll be able to find somebody else. But we do understand and we do agree that continuity is king, and to be able to have so many guys coming back to that Buccaneer offense this year, that was, look at the rushing attack, and you speak so much and so highly of. It's not always about how many yards, it's about how many. You're going to attempt it a whole hell of a lot more when you have the fourth best rushing attack in the league than you did the last 2 years when it was third. So good news for Bucks Nation getting Liam.
Well, when I was saying let him go, that's because people are saying, well, to Bull, and we don't know if Liam Cohen's ever going to be head coach. But if you ask me, are we better with the same offensive coordinator? That's not. There's only one side of that. Absolutely, especially when you have a season like they did last year. The Buccaneers have been talking about being a running team since I got into the media in '02, and they've never done it until last year. So I'm elated to have finally watched the Bucks run the football, and then next year they go into the with similar running backs, similar offensive line, and they have a mentality that they can run the ball, and then you become a Detroit where you can run the ball in any situation. I don't think the Bucks are there yet, but I think their mentality is getting there, and there's no reason, there's some patching up has to do in the offseason, no doubt. Jason Light has some work to do. But if you look at what Jason Light's done in the last couple of drafts, bringing in young players to sit in positions and play pretty good roles, I have confidence. But there's no reason why these Bucks can't be one of the top 8 teams going into the season next year. But then again, the top 8 teams this year probably didn't make.
No,
you know how that works.
Yeah, you're right. And shout out to Adam from New York, bumping into my old WDAE regular listening squad, and Jeff Taylor podcast makes Cohen icing on Adam from NY. What part of NY? Let us know. I'm with you, man. I think at the offensive side of the ball, I don't know how much you really need to change now, right? Like, you got to get another guard because you don't know if Ben Bredesen is. But you got Cody Mouth, you got Barton, you got Gedeke. How many teams from one year to the next know that you're getting 4/5 of your offensive line back and they're all going to be relatively, right? You have three-headed monster in the backfield. Scott White, Bucky Irving, Sean Tucker. You got Baker. You got Mike Evans. We'll see about Chris Godwin. You got Jalen McMillan. You're all right. I think a lot of the onus and the focus needs to go on the defensive side of the ball. I've been bringing it up. I would love to see them make a move and go get a guy like Max Crosby. And here's the reason why. And I think you'll really appreciate this because I've watched football so much differently ever since you and I have become friends about 10 years. I look at how players act, how especially elite level players, when their team is not playing, when they don't quote unquote have anything, they're clearly out of the play. This is a guy that was playing, a guy that was given 100% when he's mathematically eliminated earlier than most teams in the 27 years old. Even when he's not sacking the quarterback, he's coming away with TFLs. He's helping in the run game. It may cost a little bit, and I know Jason Light doesn't always make that big splash, but it's hard to find. This is a guy that not only on the field produces, but off the field can be a leader and a mentor to some of these young people. With success, I want Jason Light, even if it's not Max Crosby, to take a swing in the offseason on defense because you need to address multiple areas. And I think if you're going to do it, give me an established guy that you know is going to be not just a leader on defense, but also a leader in your offense.
Well, you know, I don't know how many years ago. Ironic part, they as Campbell's.
Right.
It could have been 6 years ago. I was like, the Bucks need to go wherever he goes, it works. Dominican Sue was that guy. Okay, Max Crosby is that guy. So you could be a good football player and a good defensive player and not have that attitude. Max Crosby has the attitude, no doubt about that. And if I ask you who's the attitude of Bucks defense, I'm not sure who the answer. I would say Vita Vea, and he's a smiley, nice guy. So sometimes you need that dog. It doesn't mean we don't have dogs, but that attitude, motor guy. You know, the Bucks had numerous motor guys back in the Super Bowl year. We need more motor guys. We have guys like JTS and Jack Barrett. They're effort guys, but motor guys and effort guys are not the same. I dare you to put on a game where Max Crosby played that you didn't hear his name almost every series.
Right.
And that's greatness. So there's a lot of guys that have names, but they're not Max Crosby. So if you're going to put a lot of stake in one dude, I'm okay with Max Crosby. I don't know if I can think of anybody else that fits better than Max Crosby.
Myles Garrett was another name people brought up, which I like from him. He's just 10 sacks every year. That's who. Team's good. Team's bad. He's still gonna be.
I'll take one.
Those two guys. I mean, you're not turning them down. Here's the other thing.
Yeah.
I want a guy that's got a little bit of nasty.
Thank you. You know I like nasty.
And I know.
You know
and I think one thing that Fair Not was attributed to you during your boy thing is being too nice. I don't know if, like, Gerald McCoy, I think maybe if he was playing with other guys that had nasty to them, maybe the defense as a whole would have been. But he didn't have a lot of nasty guys around him, so it highlighted maybe lack of nasty.
Okay.
Do you agree with that, Sensei?
Well, I would say this. I don't know if Gerald. I don't think he could change as an athlete.
No, I don't.
It doesn't matter who's
around. But
what
I'm saying, you just said Vita Vea was more. Vita Vea is more Gerald McCoy than he is in Dominican Sue.
I agree.
Agree?
And I don't.
And Vita Vea won a Super Bowl. So
but
what I'm saying is,
our defense is can't compare those two defenses.
Well,
our
of course,
defense
but
now
what I'm
is
saying
not
is,
the same.
Gerald McCoy played with Dominican.
Yeah,
would have been better because he wouldn't have to worry about the nasty. Like Dominican had that, but it wasn't just him. It was Jason. I'm not saying just him, but it's not like he was playing with a bunch of dogs around him.
No.
It's not an excuse. It's a reason, right? I want a guy that Max Crosby's pissing off Patrick Mahomes twice a year, pushing him, messing with him. Damn, bro, why do you keep doing that? You need a guy like that. You talk about Warren Sapp, and regardless if you're a Warren fan or you're not, we obviously have a lot of love for Warren here on the show.
Who's not a fan of Warren?
I'm not saying on the field.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
But a guy skipping through the warm-up to the
I'd have killed him.
Of course, but you need guys like that. You need flies in the ointment. You need guys that are going to be on the edge a little bit, right? You need a guy like a Tommy Pham. I know you always like Tommy. You just Johnny Gord was another guy for the Lightning. Like you need a Brad Marchand, where if he's on your team, you love him. If he's on the team, you freaking hate that son of a gun. And I think that is another element aside from just talent at the linebacker, cornerback, pass rusher positions in the Buccaneers. They need a guy with a little bit of a snarl to him.
Well, going back to Gerald McCoy, and it's very documented. I was never a fan. And listen, if Gerald wasn't the one saying that I'm the leader, he wouldn't have been calling him the leader. Okay, so he didn't have the mentality of a leader. Now we look at somebody like Warren Sapp. I was just with Warren Sapp a couple weeks ago, and it was funny that I was at a barbecue with Bucks tailgate, and he said he looks at me, he points to somebody, he points to me, and he goes, "This is one of the only guys that has kicked my ass." And I thought about it for a second, and then he reiterated by saying, he blocked me when I was a rookie. And it makes sense. Like, I was a fourth-year player. He was a rookie. I'm kicking the crap out of him. Later in my career, I didn't want to see one.
Yeah, of course.
When I left here, I didn't want to see no parts of Warren. But that mentality of Warren Sapp, and I'm going to agree with you here. If Gerald McCoy plays with Warren Sapp and Simeon Rice and a couple of Hardy Nickerson, Gerald McCoy's name wouldn't have been as big of a name, and he would have been a great piece. But as a center point, he couldn't be that guy. You know, Gerald had 6-7 sacks a year. So did Brad Culpepper. So it's just the defenses were lesser at that time. So it's unfortunate because if Gerald played with those other guys, he would have been a great secondary guy. But as a leader, to me, he wasn't good enough. Vita Vea is not good enough to be a leader. He's not. You have to take over. Vita Vea, there's times when he's invisible. And when you talk about the leader and the pulse is never invisible. Never. And there's not that many left. But when you can get a guy like that, I would pay him extra money. Because I think Max Crosby makes our defense 25% better.
You know, it's funny we talk about Warren Sapp, and I think the time that we went to the bare knuckle fighting.
Mm-hmm.
How much fun was that? One night, you and I, we're not big like travel guys, drive here. I was actually surprised that you ended up going, but it's because we picked you up.
Yeah, it helps. As in my old age, things have to be easy for me to do it.
It's all about convenience.
It's got to be convenient. We have to have parking. We also have to have great seating, and I can't be worried.
With you. So we ended up going to the bare knuckle fighting last year, and Warren Sapp was there. Our guy, Chef Corey Hall, hooked us up with some incredible food. Bread that we had. I mean, we were eating like kings. I don't know if you remember this, but Warren turns to me as I'm eating collard green cornbread, saying I never checked off Caucasian census papers.
Hey, you've been exposed to some flavor, man.
Warren, man.
I ain't mad at you.
He's such a trip, man. I mean, and it's not like obviously there's a lot of news today with John Spytek, the assistant general manager. He's leaving. He's going to Vegas with Tom Brady, trying to figure out everything going there. Shout out to John Spytek, part of this organization, better parts of it, working with Mike Greenberg and everybody, the behind the scenes guys that maybe the casual fans know about. But there's also a lot of, and we just saw right before we went live, Trent Baalke, the Jaguars general manager, gets fired. Ironic that they would interview guys like Penn and Liam Cohen, and then you go through this process and you fire the GM. I mean, that definitely has a part to do with why the process for that is so jacked up. But also, a guy that you know pretty well from back in the day is Aaron Glenn, longtime guy in the league now as a coach who's in New Orleans, DC of the Detroit Lions. He goes back home. That's head coach there. What do you think of that move?
Well, when I was with the Jets briefly, I was picked up with the Jets in training camp. I think 2 in. I got there. I was never so honored to be in a locker room. You know, Bill Parcells was coach at the time, and I walked into that locker room and I looked around the locker room, and I was honored to be in there because of who was right. It was just old, established guys that I've seen for 10 years: Jumbo Elliott and Kevin Mawais and Brian Cox and Keyshawn Johnson and Wayne Corbett. I mean, there was name after name after name after name. Steve Atwater. You know what I mean? Like Atwater walks by, and I was like, Atwater, like just this big old huge. But Aaron Glenn was one of the dudes, and I looked at Aaron Glenn, and my first thing was tiny little guy. But Aaron Glenn used to ball out.
He was a baller.
He was a baller, and he was a dog. And me and Aaron hit it off. We were both boxing fans, and I think there was a lot of boxing going on at the time. So I had some great conversation with him, and when we were getting our cold tubs and stuff like that. So Aaron was real cool with me. Everybody there at the Jets was real cool. Jumbo Elliott was cool. Curtis Martin was cool. Everybody was cool except for Keyshawn Johnson.
Really? Yeah.
Brian Cox was the man.
Yeah.
Brian Cox was the man. Like me, that Tom Ponzo said that because my Brian Cox story.
Great Brian Cox.
The great Brian Cox. Well, during my career, if you said who my nemesis is, was Brian Cox. Keith Hamilton whooped my ass. Brian Cox, me and him hated each other. And I was in 2 fights, and they were both against Brian Cox. It cost me $10,000. So when I walked into the locker room, I sat down, I saw Brian Cox walk by, and he looks at me, and he goes, "You're that 30 MF for Pep, ain't you?" Like I was like, "Yeah, I guess." And he stuck his hand out, and he goes, "Good to have you." Shook my hand and walked off. And then I realized he was the leader of the locker room.
Right.
And I saw him put 2 hands on Keyshawn Johnson in his chest. Boom! When he had his towel on, too, and Keyshawn looked at him, and I was like, and I walked
Who had the towel on?
Yeah, Keyshawn had the towel.
What about you?
Me?
Yeah.
Nobody's ever putting their hands on me.
I'm talking about wearing towels.
No, I'm sitting in my little locker room, my little locker, and I watched Brian Cox 2-hand shiver Keyshawn in his chest, and I go to Brian afterwards, "What's up with that?" He goes, "Nobody liked it." That was his answer.
You're telling me that guys were wrong.
Correct.
Yeah, I wonder what he was doing in there, huh, buddy?
I don't know what you think NFL locker rooms look
The
like.
insinuations.
Bro, you've been watching too much porn.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, let's talk about what came up in your algorithm. You got to see this shirt that Ian showed me.
You're getting it for your birthday.
Watch. No, I'm not getting it for
The
my
Dilly
birthday.
shirt.
It's not happening. There's just a bunch of mandingos. Guess we want
Pink one.
Oh, yeah. No shit.
I don't curse in the world. I do not curse. That's for real.
So you said Brian Cox.
Yeah.
Who was the leader? Give me some of the guys that were the leaders of the Buccaneers. Something like that with Brian Cox. Like
Nobody.
your team.
Not like
Nobody?
that. Well,
That's all right. Then
Hardy Nickerson.
Hardy Nickerson was that guy.
Hardy
All right, on a
Nickerson was that
lesser
guy.
degree, then.
Well, that word leadership is a funny thing. Leading a locker room just means like you're the voice. Okay?
Right.
So Sapp was that guy. Brooks was that guy in different ways. You know what I'm saying?
Obviously.
But there are different ways. Like Sapp is kind of like that, scare you to, let's play harder because he's scary. Brooks was more put his arm around you as that fatherly guy. Lynch in some ways. But then I always say this. When it's all said and done, I was a leader in it. Tony Mayberry played 9 straight years and didn't miss a game. Paul Gruber played 10 straight years, was trying to get up off the ground with a compound fracture in his leg. Paul Gruber showed up to every game, every practice. That was leadership to me afterwards. He didn't say a word, but you don't have to say a word to be a leader. So Brian Cox was that leader, kind of like Gang has to have the guy up front.
Right. Yes.
But the guy up front's not always the guy fighting. He's just the boy. He's like I was going to say P. Diddy, but that's not a good example.
I was gonna say you're the guy. You're usually the
not,
guy in the back, so that's
not
the
a good
difference.
example.
Let's talk a little college football too. College football national on Monday night last week. Ohio State, Notre Dame came out, punched them in the mouth, and then they ran out of steam. And then the whole middle of the game was controlled by Ohio State. Notre Dame comes back at the end, but Ohio State just strong. They go on to win. I know you're not a big fan of either one of those teams. But I just wanted to ask you about this year for college football, because there was the 12-team playoff. It was great that you saw teams that don't usually get an opportunity, like a Penn State, like a Boise State, right? But after watching it and watching the national championship game, I feel like it was missing a little bit of buzz. And you look at Ohio State, and I'm not hating, right? I don't have any, I didn't have a dog in the fight. But it's just weird. You look at them and you go, you lost to Oregon, lost to a lowly Michigan, didn't play in your conference, and then you're winning that. And I thought going into the season, was a little bit of a concern that there were 12 teams. I thought it would take away from the regular season. I don't think it did in the aspect of there was more teams that were jockeying for the spot. Now that I look back, I go, one thing I loved about college football was that you could lose in week. That was it. You're not in contention for the national championship. You may go to a Rose Bowl, or you may go to a then Outback Bowl. Like you may go to a bowl game, but the only national champions were the ones that get through one unscathed. You don't have that anymore. So I almost look back retroactively and go, maybe it did take away from the regular season, just in a different way that I thought originally. What do you think about how this season ended? If it had buzz, if it took away from the regular season?
I personally think it was better. If the results turned out better, okay? Because I did tell people this. Everybody's like, well, this time we're not going to have any references because it's 12. Well, there's going to still be the 13, 14, 15 that can play.
Yeah, people thought Alabama should have. Even they lost
listen,
3 games.
I heard somebody today go, Alabama could have beat Ohio State. And listen to me. Listen to me. We don't know they couldn't. That's the way football is.
You're probably right.
That's the way
one game.
It's one game, and they have nothing to do with anything we've ever watched. Like, you can't go, well, Indiana beat this time. You can't do that in football.
The math don't work.
It doesn't work.
The math ain't math.
And here's the ironic part. If it was 4 teams, either Ohio State or Notre Dame would have been in it.
Correct.
So, at the end of it, it almost turns into the NFL a little bit now to where, if you are a lower seed, then you got to do more to get there. And
but there's a path.
There is a path, absolutely.
But doesn't that take away from what made college football in the regular season? Knowing that Michigan Ohio State is really the greatest example. If you didn't win that game, there's probably a less than 5% play for the national. Now you can lose that game and another game and still be national champion. I think it takes away, and I think the sanctity of the game. I'm not talking about that. That was what was making college football so unique. Where if you lost one game, so many other things had to happen, and if you were the last team standing with one loss, you got a chance. So you saw that with Florida, Tebow's, I think, the second time they won. But the fact that you lose 2 games, to me, it takes a little bit of the regular season.
I don't think there's a perfect system. I just don't, because if you're Alabama, okay, when the season starts, I think you could get it. If you're Indiana, you can't lose 2.
Right.
So it really, at the end of it, like Indiana lost the game, and if it was in the other system, they would have no chance. You know what I'm saying? So, and this will end up being a historic year for them. And everybody's just like, well, they got beat in the first round. Well, they got beat to the team that was in the national championship. So they didn't get beat that soundly. I think it was by 10 points. So, I think more teams got in it, and I think more teams peak at different times. Just like you say in NFL, wild card teams win Super Bowls. Doesn't happen that often, but wild card teams figure out it's when you peak.
So the Giants did, the Steelers did,
and it's who you play against. You know what I mean? I watched Indiana, okay, play against Michigan, and then I watched Michigan. They just beat Michigan, and then I saw Ohio State play Michigan, and I knew that Michigan was going to fight because what gave Indiana problems, Michigan had. Okay, you see what I'm saying? So a lot of people are looking at the quarterbacks and the wide receivers. A lot of times I'm looking on the inside, and Ohio State is a son of a bitch on the inside. And people don't realize that. Ohio State's offensive line are a son of a bitch. And when you can just hand the guy off the ball and get 8 yards, that makes your quarterback really, really good. And everybody wants to put all this stock in all these quarterbacks. And that's why now a lot of these Alabama quarterbacks are starting to succeed. But in the past, they're just throwing the ball to guys that are wide the hell open behind an offensive line of 6'7", 360-pound guys. You know what I'm saying? With a great play caller. So being a great quarterback is hard to evaluate. Because if you're at Alabama, who was the last Alabama quarterback that didn't look fantastic? It's been a while. It's been a long, long time. It's been 12 years probably. So that's why evaluating quarterbacks is so damn hard.
Yeah, you're right. And do you think it'll get, I don't want to say easier, but I think with such an emphasis on the running type of quarterbacks in college, something that we didn't see as much in the NFL, but now you're seeing guys, and I said this earlier this week. I think the traditional pocket passer is dead in the NFL because you have to be able to move just a little bit. Not saying that you have to be a Lamar or a Josh Allen or a Jaden Daniels, but you have to have an element of you being a second running back. You got to be able to do something to evade the pressure. You got to be able to do something where you're throwing off platform and throw on the run. Because you look at Jared Goff, right? Fantastic regular season when everything's going his way, fine. But when the pass rush gets to him, he's got to step and just slide a little bit to the right. He airmails it and he throws a pick. We've seen that. Tua's when everything's on time, that offense is coming. But when it's off and he's got to go through his progressions, he's got to get outside the pocket, and that's when he struggles. So I think we're seeing an evolution of the quarterback position. You said this on my podcast the other day. Everybody's going to be looking for the next Jaden Daniels for the next 5 years, whether it's right or wrong. But I do think we're not going to see Peyton Manning. You're not going to see guys that can't get outside the pocket. Like, you're not going to see a Peyton or a Tom Brady or an Eli Manning. I don't think ever, because these guys are getting better on the defense. And there's more to do in an offense. Why limit yourself, right? If you're going to be able to have a good quarterback that can run for a first down, and even Baker. Baker's not a guy that you consider a Lamar Jackson, but on 3rd and 11, you know he's going to run for 12 yards, put his shoulder down, and try to run over a guy.
And box me. When I play NCAA or I play Madden, I always pick a quarterback who can run. If your quarterback can run in short yardage, the advantage is immense. Okay? You're putting an extra blocker on the field. The quarterback hands the ball off, that's minus a blocker. He runs. Now you got Josh Allen running a counter behind 300-pound guys, a guy pulling a fullback, and he's running with his head down. Boy, that's hard to stop for 1 yard. So I think it's to a point now where I coached Chamberlain High School, right? Why would Chamberlain not want to have a quarterback who can run? Boy, it just makes, when we had played against a quarterback who could run, it made everything so much harder. I talked to Monty Kiffin back in the day. I said, is it easier to game plan against like Peyton Manning or Michael Vick? He was like, Peyton. You know exactly where it's going. Michael Vick, when things break down, sometimes that's the worst time.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I think when you're talking about going forward, I just don't think there's going to be a lot of Peyton Mannings and, stiff type guys like that anymore. But I think the success has to do with their intelligence and how they can read defenses. You could be the fastest guy in the world. If you can't read it,
right.
There's never been a quarterback be successful without being able to read.
100%.
So that's very important.
That's a part of it that is never going to, that part will never go.
No way.
Right? But just think about the names you just mentioned. Eli, Tom Brady, all Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
But also IQ guys.
Brad Johnson, Trent Dilfer.
But those guys have had what? Those are iconic defenses, right? Yeah. So in order for you not to be a guy like a Mahomes, or even looking at the guys now with Lamar and Josh Allen and guys like that, you have to either be one of the smartest quarterbacks ever, or you need an iconic defense. And those don't come around very often, right? Those guys, like, it doesn't happen. I mean, think about it. Going forward, all 4 quarterbacks now, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels can all move.
A lot.
They all can move.
They can move a lot.
And then you look, the guys that can't move, you look at it and you go, all right, Matthew Stafford, but he couldn't evade the pressure. He gets banged up ribs. Those guys are just sitting ducks. You're sacking them 6, 7, 8 times. And I think it's true. So it's definitely an adaptation. As an offensive lineman, did that hurt or help the game? I mean, you didn't obviously play with a quarterback that was like that, but what if you played for a guy like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson? Like, what would your mindset be? Guard like that? Would you hate that you got to block longer because he was able to evade some of this pressure? Like, what do you think your mindset would be playing in front of a guy like that?
Well, as an offensive lineman, you can't block any different. Now, what all we want is for the quarterback to get the ball out of his head, okay? Because at 4 seconds, 4 seconds holding a guy out is a long time. It doesn't sound like a long time, but you're blocking the guy 6'7", 295 with long arms. It can get long. That's a long, long, long time. So I guarantee early Lamar wasn't nearly as good as Lamar now.
Right.
Okay, because early Lamar was trying to decipher things. He was playing if you're a chess player, when you first play chess, just making one move, and then you're thinking you're making another move. And when you're in 12th year and playing chess, you're making a move and you're thinking of your 12th move down the way. It's the same when I played as a guard. As a guard, I used to put my hand in the ground and go, okay, I'm going to block this guy. And I was very elementary. And by the 6th year, I'm looking at the linebackers where they're lined up. I'm looking at the secondary, looking if it's a 1, 2, or 3 technique. I'm looking at stances. And just sports is very complex. And I'm telling you, and there's nothing harder in sports or in this world to do than play quarterback in the NFL. I don't care what you tell me, okay? Unless you're getting killed at the end, okay? Whatever that is. There's jobs like that. But as far as pressure, uh, uh, bullets flying and a not realistic thing, like think about all these quarterbacks out there on the field, and you played Madden or whatever, and it's hard to throw the ball in the video, and when there's guys bearing down on you, and there's defensive coordinators dropping guys out, and all these things happening, and then you get evaluated by people who've never played the game before, tell you you're crappy, and when people are faltering in front of you, that's a hard thing to deal with, and a lot of them fold in their first year because they can't deal with all that crap. Right. So you have to be able to take the shit first year because a lot of guys have folded.
That's why it's even more impressive.
Well, I don't think he knows any different. You sort of like because the reality of it is this. Okay, he might struggle next year. We don't know that. Okay, I wouldn't bet on it, but listen,
he might struggle Sunday.
Stroud didn't have a great year this year compared to last year. Football is funny because sometimes when you don't know too much, easier.
Ignorance.
Because then when you start to go, whoa, there's a lot going on here, and there's a lot, then it starts to get harder, and it almost has to get harder again before it gets easy. So that's what happens in your second year. As an offensive lineman, there's less factors. Okay, it's just me against this defensive lineman, and once I figure that out, keep on getting better. As a quarterback, it's different.
We're seeing some crazy ass weather here in the state of Florida, even North Florida.
Yeah.
I know that's part of the reason why you moved to Chelsea.
I'm not scared of snow.
Not scared of snow. When's the last time you saw snow?
I think I was in Cleveland a few years ago when I was with the Storm. But I haven't. I did Indianapolis, but there was no snow. And listen, I'm from Montreal, Canada. I used to wake up in December and have snow up to the top of my door and have to jump out the top window to get outside. So I've seen real snow. So Indiana snow and Ohio snow, that's not the snow I'm talking about, although it gets cold. But I don't miss it. I don't miss it at all.
Did you play any snow games?
I played in numerous snow games. I played in some we were in the provincial finals often, and I want to say they were like or something, and it's cold in Montreal. There was one game we played on the turf at the University of Montreal, and I think we had 20 fumbles from the center to the quarterback because the quarterback was wearing winter gloves. And, okay, so my God.
Big ass Christmas story gloves.
No, not even ice gloves. Big winter gloves. And I look at him, I go, man, take your gloves off. We're going to lose your fumble. He looks at me and goes, take your gloves off. Like, nah, dog.
I'm good.
Because I never.
Was he throwing the ball like this?
I still didn't have sleeves. I've never wore sleeves.
I was going to say, you didn't wear sleeves?
I never wear sleeves. I've never wore sleeves.
Wow.
Offensive lineman can't wear sleeves.
Why?
Can't. Want me to show you?
Yeah.
Watch me. Watch me. What if Reggie White did this?
Oh, yeah, you're
done.
Yeah.
You can't wear sleeves, bro. Ask Tony Mayberry. Me and him almost fought our rookie year. Because he came out in sleeves and take the goddamn sleeves. We don't wear sleeves. Yeah, we don't wear sleeves.
No sleeves for
No
Ian.
sleeves, no.
What about in the NFL?
My rookie year in Chicago, I think they said that was the coldest game in Buccaneers.
Oh my God.
I mean, the ground in Chicago in December, it was jagged. You ever been on the ground that like mud, but it's jagged, like it would cut you?
Yeah, because your foot makes an implant, and then it's just like this.
Dude. So you didn't want to hit the ground. And then by the end of the game, I was still like, I excelled in cold, okay? Because I grew up playing football games on a skating rink, literally. So whenever it was cold or muddy, I was just better than everybody else because I'm also built low to the ground. Like Paul Gruber struggled when it was a bad field. You know what I mean? But when I think back, we played football games on skating rinks. So think of what that does to your equilibrium and your balance and your core and everything.
Is that like so when you played them on skating rinks? How does that happen?
Well,
You're playing with sneakers?
Yeah, with sneakers. So you just got to figure out a way to keep your balance underneath you, or you bust your ass. So sometimes the skating rink wasn't completely slick,
Right.
but you still
had a little bit of traction.
Yeah, you still got to catch yourself. So I mean, it made me a better athlete. That's for sure. The frozen tundra.
You're talking about outside, outdoor?
Outdoor, yeah. We indoor. We had no money.
Ain't had no money for
We had
that.
no money.
Why didn't you guys just play in the snow?
We played in the snow all the time.
But
we played in the snow. We played football in the snow.
No, I know. But what I'm saying, why would you? I'm saying, why would you play on the ice when you have the snow? That was what it was.
Challenge ourselves.
What freaking genius came up with that? In
I mean, when you're in the frozen tundra, you got to figure out. You got to figure things out, man. I wasn't. Hockey wasn't my sport, man. I was a great hockey player.
Yeah.
Nice.
What position?
I was always one of the better goalies at all sports. Like really good goalie, like really good.
How big was the net?
That's rude. That's not. Is that a fat joke? That's not a fat joke.
I mean, I wasn't like.
I was even a really good soccer goalie. In day camp, I was a really good soccer goalie.
How big were the nets?
It's a soccer net. So being a fat goalie is a good thing in soccer now.
Maybe.
You ever see a fat goalie? Have you ever seen a fat goalie?
You're telling me you couldn't afford to go inside for hockey? You got a legitimate freaking MLS fucking Premier League soccer net too?
So you just
big ass net? You like this?
It has nothing to do with my spryness and athletic ability.
It didn't?
I mean,
you said it. All right.
You seem to be leaning that way.
I might be. I played goalie 2 games. Oh, there you go. Okay. What else you got going on this week at the Ding 13? Have a shop, have a cafe?
Yeah, after Saturday we have karaoke on Saturday with the lovely Sancha, who you just met. Sancha has all the energy in the world.
She does.
And so if you like to sing, then you can come hang out Saturday night. Drink some Creative and Kava and smoke shop here, the whole 9 yards.
That is a stash. The boys are back and the gloves are off. Recher with the body shot. He's the only guy that knows anything about body shots.
For real.
Fellas will be here Saturday.
All right.
What about Sunday for the games?
Well, is the game Saturday?
No,
this Sunday.
AFC
Well, we always watch the game. We have a big screen. We're always here watching.
Never know who's gonna show up. Either.
Yeah, that is true. Ray Lampy shows up too. Dr. Barbecue. Heavy Lyrics is here. Rap artist. You know Tom G? Tom G was. You know Tom G?
In the great state of Florida.
Yeah, man.
People were asking me about that. I know that song. You know that song?
I've
heard.
I've heard. Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah.
I was like, that sounded Tampa song. That's like Florida.
Yeah. Well, Tom G's one of the bigger artists in Florida.
Tampa guy.
Yeah, he's a Tampa guy.
Tampa guy. Probably the biggest artist.
Not probably. Actually, you know who's the biggest artist out of Tampa right now? Who? You ever hear her?
Yeah.
She's fantastic. Fine. Way bigger. She was on Jimmy Fallon the other day, though.
Yeah, okay.
Tom G ain't on no Jimmy Fallon. She's huge right now. Like she's doing like Breakfast Club, like all those guys, Charlemagne and them cats.
You Charlemagne? Not a big Charlemagne.
I don't like the way he looks.
No?
He looks very feminine. You're trying to be Harvey. Like I think he's a plant. Like he's the plant.
He's a plant?
Oh, 100%. You know what's a plant?
How dare you be smart? The name of
a long time ago, Snoop was going out. He sold out.
Because he's got 2
He got the Olympics. Not everybody gets the Olympics. You know
what I'm working with Martha. He got the Martha connection.
I know, but yeah.
I cannot believe
he's Illuminati.
You think that
he's
Snoop Dogg
100%. If 100%. All that Diddy mix too.
No.
100%.
No way.
Stop with that.
He wasn't in them parties.
Well, yes, he was.
No, he wasn't.
Snoop Dogg's name is coming quite a few names.
You're
Quite a
ruining
few-
my life.
I know.
Snoop.
I was a huge Snoop. Dude, Jay-Z's name, you don't think it hurts my feelings? No. I
Jay-Z
feel
or Beyonce.
I never liked Beyonce. I never liked Beyonce.
Wait a second.
No, I don't dislike her music. I don't dislike her music. I don't love Beyonce. I'm not like everybody else. I don't give a crap. I don't love Beyonce. I don't love her.
You like Kelly Rowland better than Beyonce?
Never said that.
Okay, well, what do you like about Beyonce?
I don't really love her. I never liked her too much. Nah. No, she's not an angel.
Definitely not an angel now.
She said that she's an angel in Bizarro World.
She is a Diggler.
Like they're saying that she's the devil. Some people are saying that she's the devil. Her and Jay-Z. Like those words. You see everybody thanking Beyonce. Everybody got to thank Beyonce when they do.
Yeah.
I don't think that's scary. You don't think that's scary when you have to thank somebody when they lose?
Gotta kiss the ring.
People disappear. They get pneumonia. That's what happens in LA. They get pneumonia. They disappear. Poof, dead. Everybody involved with Diddy got pneumonia. Him and Ashton Kutcher. Allegedly.
Ashton Kutcher.
Devil too.
Punk.
Right?
No Punk there. What's gonna happen? I mean, obviously the feds, they said they haven't seen that much baby oil since they sacked the old Skanks rep.
Yeah. Well,
1,000 boxes,
yeah.
1,000 cases of baby oil. They said, "Damn, this is like the Beckles case all over again."
Doesn't it evaporate baby oil? That's a lot of baby oil. Like, I mean, let's say.
Doesn't the oil evaporate?
Let's say you use 3 bottles a day. You don't need to buy 12 years of baby oil.
3 bottles a day, you would slide right out of the chair, bro.
Well, I mean,
oh my god,
that's a lot of baby oil, dog.
1,000.
You don't need 1,000 bottles of anything.
It was 1,000 cases.
I know, I understand that.
How many bottles in a case?
Case got to be at least 12.
Listen, man. Nobody talks about. They always. You ever see that video when they're like at a party? You know who's in the background?
Jay-Z. Really?
Yeah.
Anybody who drank from that thing, there's videos of you. Anybody drank that drink, there's videos.
He was in there.
I know.
And now he's like, I'm coming back. I'm going to be a starter next year. I'm like, I can't believe you're showing.
The thing is, it's not like anybody is defending Diddy. Everybody's stories are exactly the same. They showed up at the party, put a drink on them, and then the next day
they walked out.
They like everybody, like they say, dudes and girls walk into the room, and they come out different, and they videotape you. And then what can you say if you don't remember it? You know that happened in the NFL back in the day. There was a Dr. Boudreaux. The NFL securities used to always tell us that Dr. Boudreaux, this guy's name, they found him later on, but he used to get this hot blonde girl with some European accent to lure athletes into a hotel room, drug them, and when they go to sleep, here come Dr. Boudreaux out the closet, and then he's stooping old boy like in a video.
What?
And then when you wake up, there's a video on the thing and says, "Send me this much money," and NFL securities looked us all in our faces and goes, "There's 2 players that everybody in here knows. Everybody in here knows." And we were like, "Whoa!" And they finally got Dr. Boudreaux. We hear about him every year. And about the 6th year, they finally got him.
Is this well known?
I don't know. The NFL hides stuff now. The NFL will hide stuff.
Dr. Boudreaux.
Dr. Boudreaux, yeah.
Have you ever talked about this before?
No, I have. Maybe me and Tony talk about it. I don't know if we ever have.
That's why.
Seriously.
Maybe this are the 2 guys.
Well, I paid him off. So I paid him off. So
you ever see Ian walk? You ever see Ian walk?
I do.
Giddy up there.
Walk funny.
I mean, that's crazy that you never even brought that up.
I don't think I have actually.
All the stories that you've told over the years.
It's like it was like pressed in my thoughts.
I have that ability.
I do too.
Before we wrap things up today, you want to tell everybody about your headband?
Yeah, this is my my junk headband. I should get an endorsement from Junk Headband.
Yeah, Junk.
I looked at it and it said "Believe" on it, and I thought that was cool. And then underneath it said Ted Lasso. And I didn't even really know it was Ted Lasso. I've never watched Ted Lasso. That's cool.
To watch Ted Lasso.
I've heard from a million people that it's amazing, and I know I would like it. But other than Ozark, I've never binge watched anything. Ted Lasso.
Chris got it.
Chris. And we got double thumbs up.
Double thumbs up.
Double thumbs up.
Executive producers. Drinking. No, I heard it was good. Gotta check that out as well.
There you go.
The nature of the beast.
Believe.
So we hope everybody out there enjoyed the Beckles and Recher podcast every Wednesday, sometime between 3 and 4. There's no really any following us on all of our social media platforms. Do a better job of promoting it once we get, we're still working out the kinks. Shout out to Chris, Tom, Ponzo for everything for us. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Ian Beckles, at Jay Recher. Ian's going to join me on my podcast every month at 12:30. I'm live every day at noon. Again, man, like and subscribe to all of our channels and everything we do on social media. That's how we grow, man. Spread the word, spread the love, because that's what we do.
We're supposed to say like it, hit a like, but I don't know. I don't do that.
To subscribe,
I don't do this.
like and follow.
Yeah, whatever.
Then Saturday night with Fancha
Yeah.
karaoke.
Yeah.
Dignitary Kava Cafe. Dignitary Tea. What's the proper name?
Dignitary Tea and Kava House and Smoke Shop.
That's what I said.
Okay, I didn't say you were wrong.
Cafe.
I didn't say it better than you.
Hey. That's
We don't know.
all right. For Ebony, I'm Ivory. We'll see you next time on the Beckles and Recher podcast.